dark. Let's see if I get this over here. Okay, that's way better. Okay. Okay, we got some more people here. We are doing our first retreat live in America, and also first time live both with women and men. So it is a little bit of a different. Has a different energy. Let's see what's going on. There we are. Or hold on. I'll give it a few more minutes before people come in. It's a little bright in the background, but that might work. Okay, good. That works. So, thank you for showing up. I'm sure some more people will. This is a new beginning. It is yeah, the first time we kind of put this we create this physically in Chicago in the US. So it is a kind of a big deal. It kind of symbolizes a shift. Like I've been going through this process now for the last 20 years. So we have this potential of elevation, of integrating the body in different ways. So and in the process of doing that, we need energy. And energy is our birthright. And yet we are not daring to kind of connect with it. So to connect with our energy, we kind of have to choose so, because we are free human beings. We are born as humans, and yet we are not choosing necessarily to integrate the entirety, the entireness of ourselves. So the process that we are doing here is to kind of amplify this energy. We're helping to kind of assist that which we are to kind of embrace our body, because our body is a physical entity, but it's also energy. So it is easy to kind of just think of our our body as something energy, body, physical. But for me, I realized there's a lot of people teaching, talking about stuff, and yet they're not necessarily showing. They're not continuing to go deeper. They get stuck in selling. They get stuck in being a teacher. They get stuck in the idea of enlightenment. They get stuck in at different levels. So that is what we are moving beyond. So as I kind of have looked at this process for the last 20 years, as I awakened to it, and I saw that our body needs kind of a cushioning. It needs support to kind of go deeper. It needs some sort of support. It needs understanding. It needs a teaching. And since we don't necessarily understand the entirety of teaching, it needs a teacher. It needs what we kind of maybe are forgetting when we are connecting with things. We forget that we kind of need somebody that might have kind of opened the door for us. So as we are here, you guys are opening up to a door that I'm kind of sharing. So, and as I didn't necessarily want to share something that wasn't real, something that wasn't heart deeply felt, something that wasn't integrated, something that wasn't, because there's a lot of things out there that are kind of mind construed by the mind, a lot of teachings that just becomes kind of like fantasy. So this is not a fantasy. And yet, by me saying so, it doesn't make it real for you. So there is a trust here that it needs to happen. There's a commitment and daring to kind of not listen to the words but feel the energy, and that's what we're doing. We're creating a retreat that is opening up to the energy of the body, opening up, choosing to surrender, choosing to trust, choosing to become aware of that which we are, that which is here, and daring to kind of open up to this energy that is there. So that is what we are doing here. So this is the first day of this retreat, and we are being here physically in America compared to Norway, or compared to having most of my teachings in Norway before and focusing on Norway now. The energy feels ready to kind of open up to America. Open up. America symbolizes the awakening, the Western civilizations that continue going beyond, going into freedom from Europe, from just the mind control ego, into opening up to that which is beyond. So that is what we're doing. We're kind of opening up the space. I have created my first book is going national. It's going into the whole world within this month soon. So there is an energy here that is new. That's why it's kind of perfect. COVID has also ended. So we are kind of, there we are. That's much better. But yeah, there we are. Good. So COVID has ended pretty much in the whole world, and we are opening up to, we are opening up to kind of bringing awareness, bringing the understanding of relaxation, understanding of what life is about into the world, back into the world. So that is what this retreat is about. And it is beautiful because now that we have both physical people, we're following the actual retreats. So we've done these retreats many times in Norway, and we follow them one on this today, Friday, usually around 5, 6 ish this time. So Norway or California will be a little different. And then usually we have like one like 11 ish on Saturday, and we usually have one like around 2 or 3 ish. So we set 3, and then on Sunday we decided to make it around 12 because there's springtime coming into Chicago or America. So we're going to be doing it at 12 here, but it's still 6, so it's like a shift in energy. So it's literally going from winter to summer on Sunday, the 13th. So that is kind of symbolic that we are shifting into summer. We're shifting into spring. So that is why we're doing this retreat. It was time to make people connect. I usually do these kind of retreats. Try to do now since COVID, 3 or 4 times every 6 months, so that we have a month and a half in between. But it's kind of helps to kind of get you kind of jumping, because there's energy here. So we kind of want you to jump into the energy of it all. So the next one will be actually like the last weekend in April, the 22nd to 24th. So that is kind of the beauty of these, that they're kind of created so that we can kind of keep riding the wave. So we have been feeling this energy here now for the last couple of weeks. My wife has been kind of going down, and I've also felt it. And I felt kind of the physical kind of calming down, and then it became kind of a peacefulness yesterday. So that's why I asked for people to kind of tell me how their dreams are, because sometimes these dreams are kind of telling something about how you're engaging. Everybody's engaging differently. This is about you. This is about connection. And some people engage already this last week, since we had a little introduction, which was kind of a pre-starter 2 weeks ago. It kind of set the energy of this. And then some people will feel more like during this weekend, and some people will feel more like the few weeks after. So since I kind of been doing this for the last 20 years, I kind of have the expertise to kind of recognize these different patterns that we are moving through as we kind of awaken the body. So for me, the ease of life started more than 20 years ago, but it didn't necessarily start there, particularly because it seems I recognize I've been kind of preparing for it my whole life. And in a way, like, you can say your ego is your preparation for the ease of life. Because I remember at the age of maybe 1, or before that, I noticed my mom. I recognized, and I remember now that my mom was kind of depressed. She was kind of scared that I was going to become deaf, just like my brother. And that kind of made me feel that I had to give her love, extra love. So I remember this later in life, as I kind of went back, as my memories started opening up, as layers kind of remove from you, from me, from everyone. And then at the age of 6, I kind of remember that I suddenly, for some reason, felt like I was going to become a chiropractor. Yet I am not a chiropractor, but I have the wisdom of a chiropractor. I have that perspective, which helped me to kind of read the body both from medicine, from chiropractic, from Tai Chi. I have all these perspectives that kind of help me to get out of my ego, so to speak. And then I have then from the beginning of my time, I have my uh, sign language, which is my first language, that kind of helped me to actually read bodies. And as I met my Tai Chi teacher and both my Tai Chi, I realized that I could see something in them that, or in the oldest one, that I didn't necessarily see in others. I could see that he was at peace, and I hadn't recognized it in anyone else. So it wasn't something, people talk about mindfulness. I I don't see that in most people, because people don't it will cost you to be at peace. It takes commitment. A lot of people are in mindfulness, that they're in the mind. So it's kind of different levels of awakening. So when I recognized it, I could see there was something within him that I don't see in that many. So I realized there is something to this awakening. It is something to enlightenment. I didn't necessarily believe in this stuff as I grew up. And yet, when I was like 8 years old, I noticed I was introduced to sexuality. I was introduced to nakedness. I was noticing that people were playing this game of nakedness and being seen and wanting you to hunt them down, and it was weird. But then I noticed that everybody was doing it, and then when I came into high school, I noticed that everybody in school started doing it. So I didn't really partake in it, but it was part of the the path of kind of seeing stuff that doesn't make sense, but our ego will kind of notice stuff. And then when I was about 11, 13, I think, yes, 13, I read a book about the Aborigines, and they talked about being emotionally balanced. And then I realized, when they talk about it, I realized nobody is emotionally balanced in our life. There's no one around. I never met anyone. I realized I had, because of my sign language, I always saw that people are emotional. Everybody was always emotional, flirty, sexual, emotional, angry, all this stuff. Everybody is. And this isn't something that people have released. So at that time, I realized, wow, that was kind of a deal breaker. I remember I was like, oh my God, that sounded amazing. Why not become emotionally stable? And yet I realized there was no one out there who knew. So when I'm at my Tai Chi, I saw a person that was kind of mentally stable. Yet I could still see there was still stuff in their body going on, as a chiropractor, reading body posture and all that stuff. People are relaxing here. So, but but it's good to have physical people for once. That it's a new shift here. We're physically and online, so it has a different schedule. We're first time in the American flow, the American abundance, the American spirituality. So we're connecting to the world together. So what I kind of saw, I wasn't thinking about emotionality when I met my teacher, but when I started awakening myself, I recognized that I wasn't necessarily looking for like a martial art of Tai Chi or chiropractic to be just corrected. Suddenly, I was wondering like why the body's so stiff? Why are people so not relaxed? And well, I didn't think about that until my Tai Chi teacher told me to relax. So that's when I realized in the age of 21 that I wasn't relaxed because I had no idea what that meant. What does it mean to relax? So that's when I started to realize that I have no idea what that meant, because relaxation seems to be something for old people. And I am not an old person, so I didn't need to think about it. And yet, now that I was supposed to become a chiropractor, I was supposed to be somebody of an expert of the body. I realized that maybe I need to figure it out. So I opened up to it that maybe I wasn't relaxed because I didn't know what it was. But if I wasn't relaxed, that meant that I'm tense in some way. So when he was he was telling me to kind of relax or drop my shoulder. And when he did, I didn't feel that there was something to drop. There was that I was tense, which was what he kind of implied, that I was tense. So as he kept kind of continuing to repeat the same demand, relax your shoulders or drop your shoulders, touching my shoulders. And I didn't think, I thought he must be joking. But gradually I thought, well, I have been wondering about the body, why my body is already degenerated, my spine, why people already, I have to get my body cracked like a chiropractor at the age of 21, and why the medical doctors, they view this body totally different than chiropractic and Tai Chi. So suddenly I was like, well, maybe this teacher knows what he talks about. Maybe there is something here. So gradually I started to be like, well, for me to kind of go into his paradigm, I had to kind of submit myself to him, because I didn't know how to do it. I have played soccer. I'm great at playing sports, but it seemed I had to submit myself to something he knew, but I didn't. So I had to surrender to him. So then after I chose, so that's kind of what we are all talking about. That's why I'm doing these retreats. It requires choice. That's what I figured out. It requires a choice to see something, and then everything is, all hell breaks loose. You don't know. There's a surrender. So when I surrendered, then suddenly in that moment, well, I started to feel all these emotions coming up, like frustration. Maybe he's just doesn't know what to talk about. Why am I here? Like emotions like, oh, why does it keep bothering me? I don't get it. All these emotions start running through me. And then eventually I just kind of gave up. I just didn't. I said, fuck it, I just have to just trust. So the trust kind of comes in waves. And suddenly, as I did in that moment, suddenly I was literally outside my body. People would be like, oh, this is an awakening process. Well, I guess it is, but you are still the same person. But I was literally behind my body, like a little bit up, like hovering over my body. So you would say I'm in my soul or my being, but literally looking at my body from behind. And then in the same time, in the same at that moment as I was in my being, my whole body just it said no, it didn't. It just kind of I could just see that it just shifted. It just almost like it looked like it just became like a turtle. It just rooted down. It was just like it just sunk. Tai Chi they talk about being sunk. So it just like grounded. So it just I realized that's it relaxed. But I didn't feel anything. I just watched it. So then after that, I came back into my body. This probably was like lasting a minute, a second or two, who knows? But then I left, and then it was just kind of a shocker to kind of have experienced that because I didn't feel anything. The body just did it. But I also recognized that the body does, it's not, it wasn't a stable, the body wasn't stable like that because I'm not stable in my being. So then I saw a path that if I allow myself to return to being, then the body will gradually relax more and more. So that is what I've been doing. And now I'm so uh an intense 20 years or 21 years of going gradually going deeper and seeing how we can kind of transmit and share this more easy because it's not a hard path, but it still requires all of you. So when I invite and I do this, it's because it, for me, I my body keeps actually opening, and yours are too. But it requires a commitment to join in and to keep daring to simplify. As our body, our and our mind, our ego creates complications. They create identity. They create attachments. And then when you start moving into being more and more, you move beyond your attachments more and more. And then you become free more and more. And then your body change more and more. And thus you will start to feel energy more and more, or emotions more and more, or mental anguish more and more, because you are going to see the ego from the outside. And this is not always so comfortable because then you have to start getting used to a whole different way of being to find the ease of being. So people can be like, well, why can't you just teach me this? Well, my job is not to teach it. My job is to help you to release and move beyond, to guide you beyond it, beyond your ego, and then start the ego will start to fall apart and start to transform, and you will start feeling new stuff in your body. So I'm literally just guiding you through the process that I've myself gone. So I've walked this path through 20 years, and I am allowing you to gradually come with it. So wow, why did I start talking about this? Well, I guess it is a new start. It's a new beginning. It is the first time that I have men and women into this retreat for a while. I did a few retreats back maybe 10, 15 years ago. Uh, but I didn't feel like the energy was right for it to teach it because men and women kind of connected differently. Women can be more body naturally, men can be more mind naturally, and their path is different, but eventually you will cross paths and you will kind of go both paths, because it's the yin and the yang, the masculine and feminine, and you need both to awaken. You are both man and woman. So, but as I've taught people, a lot of men, maybe more one on one before in Norway, than and women one on one, but then women was more connected to retreats and like community, so that we had to kind of go through that for a while before the men starts coming in. And now men are for the first time part of this retreat. We are first time Norway and America, and even the next one. And in Norway this summer, we're starting to bring it more and more, that more men, more friends of mine that are men, they're also coming in. So there's a intersection, there's a coming together of masculine and feminine. So that is kind of what also fits good with society, that women have kind of been very strong about independence and female rights. And yet these last years, the men have to dare to also claim some male rights again. They can't just be like in the background, like not saying anything. They have to also come back and kind of be part of society. So these last years, now it's starting to come into a new. We have to dare to be proud of Europe. We have to dare to be proud of America. We have to dare to be proud of every culture, even the white culture, even the masculine culture. We have to dare to be proud of every culture. So that is what's coming together. That is what the beauty of this time is, really. So it is fun to that my awakening and my bringing this teaching out that seems to be many thousands of years old, and that I have actually worked on in many lifetimes, but that I recognized when I met it, that humans are more ready to meet, and now we can meet it physically and online. It has never been a time in human history where it could be taught in this way. So I mean, we are at the most magical place that has ever existed. So cheers for you, cheers for me, cheers for everyone around here. Yeah, thank you for coming to this amazing retreat. Thank you for partaking. The energy already was created a few weeks ago. I started, and it's gone through a lot. I already feel it like a few weeks ago. The peace came in yesterday, and today it really just starts coming into clarity. And it really is about a retreat. Is a little about like we're allowing the divine energy, we're allowing the best energy that is available for us, that we are ready for, that I have opened myself up to, and then you guys open yourself up to by having faith as well, that suddenly you will start receiving this process of awakening the body. It's not supposed to be about understanding, because everything I say won't always make sense, and my understanding of this process have grown over these 21 years. So you have to have patience. You don't want to treat yourself too hard or sternly or whatever. So the process of awakening the body is one of receiving, because it's just a kind of a shifting to the feminine, to that of, it's not one of doing, it's one of that of non-doing. The feminine, masculine is like going for a goal. This one is almost like not going, but it's just living. So that's why I call it the ease of life, the ease of being, because it's more the livingness of things. That's when you can open to being. Then you are guided by the wisdom of everything, by the wisdom of you, into connecting with everything. It is a completely different way of interaction, and that's where we also can birth the immortal. And that is kind of what we're doing. We're allowing ourselves to kind of connect with this process of being that is not so attached to a goal, but more to see that, humans, like animals, trees, plants, they all kind of just they live so effortlessly, and we can too. We still have the wisdom, but if we become obsessed with wisdom, we try to hold it on as knowledge. So when I write my books, it's more about giving the wisdom, and not the energy is between the words. The energy is in the dot 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 instead of holding on to it. Most people get stuck in holding on to stuff. So that's where people get confused. That's that's why most people uh, can awaken to a sense, but then they get stuck, and then they just become teachers because it feels good to teach. It feels good to know, but you might also just block yourself from continue. So I've saw that many times I could have blocked myself from growing, but I realized that my purpose wasn't to teach. My purpose was I have to kind of walk through it, and then by default, I can kind of stretch out my hand and let other people come on the way. I open up the gate and I allow other people to kind of move through it. So that's what we're doing here. So with that said, that's why I made the retreats this way. I've kind of tested out many ways to kind of further on and give you the possibility to come with me. And these retreats seems to the beautiful way. We got a short, well, it's almost 40 minutes already, but yeah, 30 to 40 minutes of ease, of talk, of energy, and then you go into the night, come back tomorrow, we go through some sessions, we have some lunch, we do all this stuff, and then 3 days of this, magic happens. That is the beauty of this. So we dare to make it easy, we dare to release stuff that we don't necessarily know we're holding on to. We're opening up ourselves to see through our dreams or through complications before or after the retreat what we are holding on to, what's going on in ourselves. So that's kind of what we're doing. Yes. Good. I hope you're still with me. I'm so happy to see you guys all here. And I know some of you will pop in here a little bit later. Everybody has a different flow to this, and there's a few people who watch it. And let's get yourself kind of like all situated. Get yourself like you probably might just all close your eyes, like everybody spread out here too. I might continue a little bit here in the physical, but it's all about kind of letting the energy in. So it already started at the beginning or before we talked, a few hours before, I could feel the wind coming in. And now you can settle down and just let the breath come in, let the energy come in, and the energy is coming in. So whether you're feeling it right now, or if you feel it at night, this night, or if you just feel like high and want to go out and drink, or if you feel it tomorrow morning, or if you feel stuff, that is the purpose. So people are going to let down, and I'm not going to talk you through all of it. Just stay with it for maybe 10-15 minutes. Just stay. Or if you are busy, go on your business and take it in at night. The energy is already set. And when I talk to you tomorrow before, you can text me, let me know how your night has gone or what's going on. You might experience some weird stuff or some weird dreams or some different energy or just being super cold, and just look at the weather behind me. It's kind of was so pretty. Let's see if we can get this one in here. Let's just look at this. There's the sun there. I don't know if you saw it, but let yourself, whatever you dream or whatever is coming here, that's part of the journey. And so beautiful to have you guys here. And there might be more people coming in for lunchtime tomorrow at 11 Chicago time. And we might have some dinner later, and I hope you guys have dinner or you go to bed or whatever, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Good, beautiful. I will talk to you guys later, guys. Have a beautiful day. And